genital bleed. Other art objects show the Luba wore tall headdresses and had prominent ritual scales. The kingdom of Luba, with its heartland around Lake Boya, greatly expanded in the 18th century, thanks to the kings and one king in particular, King Kadilo, who reigned from about 1700. Consequently, in a gradual process, the state absorbed the kingdom of Kikonja in the south, the kingdom of Kalendwe in the west, and several tribes in the southeast of the region. The kingdom became such a success that peoples in the entire region of central and eastern Zambia and Malawi claimed their kings were descended from those of the Luba. One neighboring kingdom, located in the western Shaba, was particularly influenced in terms of traditions, institutions, and symbols. This was the Rand Kingdom, founded about 1500. The two kingdoms eventually formed a two-way relationship in terms of cross-cultural exchange. The kingdom continued into the late 19th century, but was then overwhelmed, like so many African cultures, by the arrival of the European colonialists. In Luba's case, their nemesis was the Belgians, who took over this part of Africa around 1885 and created what became known as the Belgian Congo.
14-day ultimatum, federal government engages organized labor. And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we focus on new teacher development program in Nigeria. When American historian Henry Brooks Adams said, and I quote, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." He was simply emphasizing that a teacher's influence can extend beyond the classroom and have a lasting effect on the lives of their students even after the teacher is gone. Absolutely, absolutely. And that statement speaks to the significance of teachers across the world, not just in Nigeria. And of course, the need to keep them up to date in a constantly evolving world. We saw that, of course, during COVID-19, and that was corroborated by activists for female education, Malala. We all know, of course, we heard her when she also said, and I want to quote her, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can't change the world." Claire, that needs to keep the teacher, the need to keep the teacher in tune with technological advancement in the teaching profession explains the recent launch of the Teacher Internship Scheme, TIS, by the federal government. It is a teacher development program designed to support states in the emergence of a new generation of teachers with the skills and knowledge to excel in the digital age and help in the implementation of smart education in Nigeria. And indeed, this very novel, of course, we saw a bit of that during COVID-19, as I said earlier on. The scheme is an initiative of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, to address dearth of teachers, of course, in the area of smart education, which has been championed by the Commission in our country. Now, there's an establishment of 37 smart schools across the country so far. Yeah, that's right. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahi Maman, who flagged off the teacher internship scheme at the UBEC Digital Resource Center somewhere in Kado, Abuja, also inspected a facility established to serve as a hub for creating and distributing resources to schools, as well as training the school personnel. Actually, the minister also expressed his commitment, and that of the federal government to provide, information and communication technology, ICT infrastructure, to enhance teaching and learning in the country. Of course, in most schools today, it's very difficult, even for teachers, to operate simple, laptops. So this is very encouraging, and we know that ICT
has dominated every spectrum of our life, and we must not be left behind.
You're right, Claire. Already the new scheme is gathering pace, with the Korea International Cooperation Agency securing a budget of $10.4 million to support the scheme. How sustainable the Teacher Internship Scheme (ITIS), and what are the plans for its national coverage? These are some of the issues our guests are expected to shed light on. I am Ademola Adeye. Thanks for joining us, and good morning, Nigeria. Claire.
Indeed, it's also good that we are starting at this stage with the teachers. As they say, it's better late than never, even though we may be, quite behind when we compare with what is happening in other parts of the world. But maybe as time goes on, we'll escalate to, the secondary and tertiary institutions. And by the way, this is championed by the federal government, so we welcome it. It's a good initiative, and that's the prompt for our conversation this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. I joined Demola to welcome you to the program. As always, it's a beautiful Wednesday. It's a double celebration. Well, of course, Demola, it's Ash Wednesday. It's also Valentine Wednesday. And before you accuse me, we have a touch of red.
You are not compliant, are you?
We have a touch of red.
You are not compliant. I am compliant.
And you have a touch of black.
I have a touch of red. And I have the ash as well.
Yes, and so just to let us know, Ash Wednesday it's one of the cardinal features in Christendom. Yes,
it starts off the Christians
the Lenten season.
Yes,
the Lenten season, and Demola, again in a couple of weeks now, our Muslim brothers will also commence Ramadan fast. So probably this will help to crash the prices of foodstuff, and then foods are usually very expensive at this time. So we will be bringing you the complimentary segments of the program. In a short while, Mina Daniel will be giving us highlights of the morning news. Much later, we'll bring business news, and Chukwudi Baja will join us. He will bounce into the studio when it is time, and later we'll bring you other complimentary aspects of our program. So let's get started. Mina, good morning.
Good morning to you, Claire and Abdemola. Here, of course, is the highlights of the news. President Bola Tinubu has called for unity and resilience of the African continent for development and prosperity. The president made the call when he received the Nigerian Super Eagles after the return from the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire, where they came second. The president also conferred on them a word of member of the Order of the Niger as part of appreciation for their outing.
Competitive football is unpredictable, but we are determined. We salute your resilience. You lifted our spirit. You made us proud. You made us smile as Nigerians.
In an effort to address the root cause of farmer-herder conflicts and to foster national unity, the federal government is set to commence the implementation of a Polako Initiative, a large-scale resettlement program. Vice President Kashim Shettima, while inaugurating the steering and coordinating committee, said the implementation of the initiative is in fulfillment of President Bola Tinubu's promise to improve the lives of all Nigerians.
And from the outcome of the meeting, this program will certainly start in the next 2 weeks from the meeting, and everyone is happy, and of course houses will be built. There will be no misconceptions and spins and different interpretations to the good intentions that the federal government intends.
After about 10 hours marathon interaction with the security echelon of the mission behind closed doors, the Senate is assuring Nigerians that it will not condone any lapse in executing the mandate of securing lives and property of the citizenry.
The Senate listened to
the efforts of the security chiefs, particularly the serious improvement in the operations nationwide. The Senate was impressed that almost 90% of perpetrators of heinous crimes in the country commend Mr. President for his determination and focus.
Moving on, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution asking the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Abuja, to halt the ongoing recruitment of judges to fill vacancies in high courts of the FCT. Adopting a motion by Representative Egariwe, the House mandated its Committee on Judiciary to investigate the federal character approval of the recruitment process and report back to the House for further legislative action.
Imo and Bayelsa do not have a single indigene from their states appointed and sitting in the FCT High Court system. Worried that Ebonyi State in particular is doubly discriminated against in that it has none of its judges appointed in the High Courts of the FCT.
The federal government has assured the organized labor that payment of wage award will henceforth be consistent. Minister of State Labor and Employment in Kiruka Onyejocha made the commitment in Abuja after meeting with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, following the 14-day ultimatum jointly issued to government to implement the 16-point agreement reached with them on the 2nd of October 2023. Onyejocha also appealed to the labor organizations to withdraw their 14-day ultimatum as governments had stepped up efforts to complete the implementation of the agreement. On the compressed natural gas CNG buses, Program Director and Chief Executive of the Presidential CNG Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, who addressed the meeting virtually, informed the unions that government had made 70% payment for the procurement of the new CNG buses and the CNG kits. The National Emergency Management Agency says the multiple gas explosions in the Iju-Ishaga area of Lagos was caused when a truck trying to offload gas cylinders collided with a high-tension electric post, snapping a cable that fell on a gas refilling shop and setting off series of explosions. About 50 shops were affected by the inferno, but no casualties or injuries were recorded. Residents have been advised to stay calm and avoid panic, as the Lagos State Fire Service has brought the situation under control.
A magnificent strike from the 19-year-old. Lovely ball. Trossard, cool as you like. Majestic. Come back, and he's there!
Sportsbet sponsors coverage of the English Premier League.
All right, don't worry, I'll let you in on why I'm smiling in a short while. But for now, let's talk about business. And we understand that the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy says that implementation of the Ports Community System, that's the PCS in Nigeria, will automate and position ports for increased global trade benefits. Well, let's listen into Kunle Adeyu for more on what it means by all of this.
After a painstaking process, the Port Community System is out for implementation. Members of the Nigerian Ports Authority and the International Ports Community System Association believe Nigeria will comply with the details of the Convention of Facilitation of International Maritime Traffic of the International Maritime Organization, whose objective is to prevent unnecessary delays in maritime traffic and aid cooperation between governments, among other objectives.
To ensure the road is readiness to do the frontline role in the attainment of this noble objective. Let me also seize this occasion to applaud the NTA to rescue and procurement process, while thanking the company to deploy the PCS, and already clear government request for Nigerian intervention, especially with regard to the aspect of the implementation that are outside the buffer of the NTA and the ministry.
The next line of action is the implementation, as the move is expected to enhance ease of doing business and trade facilitation.
For the most important part of the project, which is the procurement of the company to deploy the PCS, for which we earnestly seek the kind consideration and backing of the Honorable Minister to actualize as quickly as possible.
The submission of the consultant's report is the combination of the intensified synergy between the Nigerian Ports Authority and the International Maritime Organization. With business news, I'm Kule Adeyeye.
Thanks, Kule, for the business news. Newspaper review is up next. Stay with us.
Right, welcome to newspaper review segment of Good Morning Nigeria. And Chooks the boy bounced in a few moments ago, and of course he was the reason why you saw that smile on my face. And we're actually chatting about the Super Eagles performance. I know it's belated now, but what is not belated is the fact that yesterday the Super Eagles, were duly recognized, of course, with the National Honors Award, all of them, and that was very magnanimous, of the president, despite what Chukwudi and Demola here, say about the performance of the Super Eagles. And I think they did well. They did absolutely well. We didn't expect them. Chooks, good to see you. Yes.
No. We're not contesting the
No. Both of you.
See you.
Yes.
It was intimidating.
Good to see you.
Well, she knows I'm a parrot. How dare you? The news of the day is land, flags, honor, and the Super Eagles are told thank you by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's the news of the day.
The front page.
Before we start the discussion, let's look at the newspapers.
The front page of leadership.
Okay,
the front page of the leadership. It doesn't carry.
When you don't subject these things to the presentation gets better.
Excuse me.
Yes. You can stop and get the other one.
Yes, the front page of the leadership it doesn't have any cherry news, except of course the Super Eagles. All other stories here are bandits killing people, Gaza, and then maybe IMF advice, which is the lead story. It says don't remove electricity subsidy. Labour tells Tinubu. And the writer there is saying Nigeria is here to recover from fuel subsidy removal, declares IMF, World Bank, anti-people forces to dehumanize Nigeria's expert one, and then all others, and again, okay, maybe this other one too, just above the nameplate, Axis Holdings has appointed Balaji Agbade as acting GCEO, of course, following the death of Herbert yes, I think that's just all. CBN makes first forex market intervention in 5 months, sells $86 million, and Demola, you want to take up the other papers?
Yes, I have two papers here, but let me start with the Nation's newspaper. And above the nameplates, we have the Access Holdings award CBN's nod for Agbade as CEO, and payment of wage award for federal workers resumes. That is the stories on page 4. Minister and Labour meet. Oyetola, Ports community plan will aid ease of doing business. The story is on page 7. Nigeria, United Kingdom sign part to boost trade. The story can be found on page 3. And below the nameplate, we have Emefiele's $6.2 million trial. Buhari's signature forged, says ex-SGF. Boss Mustafa Dizon approval authorizes CBN to pay foreign observers during 2023 polls. 3 forgery suspects watch list listed by Interpol. Federal government files charges in court. Federal government knocks PDP governors for failing as leaders. They have done nothing to promote agriculture. That story can be found on page 4 audit report, no record of funds recovered between 2016 and 2019. The story, it's on page 4. And the picture on the front page is that of the president and the vice president with the Super Eagles. Tinubu showers Eagles with land, flags, and national honor. And we move on to Daily Trust newspapers. And immediately above, below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, we have rising production cost. Bakers begins nationwide strike, February 27. The story is on page 5. Barry didn't approve 6.2 million for election observers. His signature was forged. Then gas explosion rocks Lagos community again. That story is on page 8. Bandits kill 2 policemen, abduct 40 in Zamfara. Family of 21 among captives. And we have the same picture on the front page of the president and the vice president with the Super Eagles team. The IMF confirms return of petrol subsidy under Tinubu. Court remands Kano, Tikoya, and Tinubu rewards Eagles with national honors. And that's all. Chooks, it's over to you.
Yeah, 2 things. A payment of wage award for federal workers resumes. You know, I keep on saying that in all of these, the most important thing is that the parties keep talking. Nigeria was in a bad place when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu got in the saddle. Nigeria is still in a bad place, but there are plans to take it out of the doldrums and all that. In between when El Dorado is achieved and now that we're starting efforts to make things get better, a lot of hiccups will happen. What is going to hold things together is continuing dialogue. I keep talking about it. And look at what the Minister of State is saying. You know, that's ultimatum in Georgia. She told Labour leaders that government has stepped up efforts to complete the implementation of that agreement, the agreement they had. It is true, we entered into an agreement, but the government has shown good faith and considering the urgency of the issue at hand. I call this meeting because dialogue has always been the best way out. That again, I keep on emphasizing. Let them keep talking. Nigeria is in a bad place. Getting it out of that spot is not going to be easy. So everyone needs to show understanding. Let no party to discussions take the other for granted. And I tell you, over time things are going to get better. The other thing I want to talk about is removal of subsidy. I'm not an economist, but the question I ask is, was it possible to have staggered the removals and all that? Because when you look at what's happening in society now, you just feel that some people just can't manage to eat anymore. So when people say that, when some economists say that the removal of the subsidy and all that, it was a good thing and all that, of course, even with my elementary economics, I know that the president had no choice. But IMF telling us petrol subsidy is still there. I keep on saying, why are some people crying more than the bereaved? Why are you taking Panadol for my headache? The last time the World Bank said it should be realistically $7.20 per litre. The government said there's no subsidy. And yesterday I said there is such a thing as national interest. Do they know the social cost that it's tenable, or that is almost inevitable if people begin to take to the streets and you understand? So let them leave us to manage our economy within our own domestic realities. We remember the injunctions they are throwing from wherever they are talking from. But the government on the ground knows best how to go about it. Of course, when they derail a bit, economists are there to tell them, hey, I think you can think 1 or 2 things here and there. You understand? So that's my take on it.
You're right. I think the government is just being very sensitive to, to
of course, yes,
the feelings of the people.
No, yes.
Because it's social cost. I mean, it's alarming. People are crying, and the government cannot just close its eyes and say, "Oh no, let's just remove everything totally like that." I think, just like you said, all these IMF people, they just have to leave us alone and let us manage our economy also.
Again, that's where I was going to take my own contribution to that report, because when you outrightly condemn international institutions, especially international financial institutions, you're saying, look, you're also condemning, the foundation from which they were established. IMF and the World Bank are instruments of a capitalist system, and the advice that they give will of course be colored by the capitalist tendencies. Now, it is not for any government to take the advice hook, line and sinker.
That's it.
It's for that government to domesticate the advice with their current realities.
Yes.
So this is just an advice.
That's it.
To the Nigerian government. Look, you need to remove this. But it is left for our government to look at,
to decide
whether is it feasible? Is this what we can do at this moment? If we do it, what will happen? What will not happen? So you see, that's just where I stand.
We're telling IMF and World Bank, between your extreme black and white, there are so many colors. Let us dance between those extremes.
See what we can do.
Of course, you don't shun IMF and World Bank. You become a pariah.
Yes.
They are institutions.
There are institutions.
A lot of clout.
Precisely.
But the point is, we have our own domestic realities.
Exactly.
Please,
and is this the right time to remove electricity subsidy? If you ask financial experts or development managers, they will tell you, maybe not. Because already, the removal of petrol subsidy is still biting hard.
Yes.
And
always clamoring for the removal of electricity subsidy.
That's IMF is saying remove it.
They always tell you about trade.
IMF is saying,
tell you about trade liberalization.
Exactly.
They don't interfere at all. They tell you that the ultimate, platform for earnest business activities is for the arena to be free.
Precisely. Liberalize the system.
That's what they tell you.
Liberalize the market.
It's working for them though.
It is.
But we've not got there.
Exactly. God bless you, Chukwudi. So that's what we're saying. But we must not end this review without talking about the Super Eagles and their awards. All of them got land, awards and national honor recognition. And again, I also want to call out those who have been cyberbullying Alex Iwobi, and Alex Iwobi did his best. I just want to read out what the NFF Director of Communication said about him just before we go, please. He said, Alex Iwobi does not deserve attacks. He has a record of utmost dedication to duty and a remarkable attitude of giving his all on national duty. We cannot suddenly forget the great moments he made on duty for Nigeria. So we are talking about someone who has actually the 7th most capped Nigerian footballer in history. So why the cyber stalking for?
We must never insult our national icons.
But suddenly, up in there makes some noise. Running through for half. Oh, brilliant!
Sportybet sponsors coverage of the German Bundesliga.
You're welcome back. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria, coming to you live on the network service of the NTA. To set the stage for our conversation this morning, let's take a background report put together by correspondent Abdusalam Jubril.
From the internet to artificial intelligence AI, renewable energy solutions to smart agricultural practices, technology, no doubt, has played and continues to play pivotal roles in the modern era. It has seamlessly woven itself into the fabric of everyday existence, revolutionizing how humans communicate, work, and learn. Smart TVs, smart watches, smart renewable solutions, and smart cities have become the lexicon dominating every facet of life in today's world. Smart teaching and smart learning has also become popular innovations within the educational sector in many countries. Teachers teaching with the use of information communication technology (ICT) is a common sight in educational institutions in many parts of the world. In Nigeria, the traditional method of teaching with the use of blackboards and chalks is still prevalent. However, all that is set to change with the launch of the new Teacher Development Program, the Teacher Internship Scheme (TIS), designed to support states in the emergence of a new generation of teachers with the skills and knowledge to excel in the digital age and help in the implementation of smart education in Nigeria. The scheme, introduced by the Universal Basic Education Commission, aims to address the dearth of teachers in the field of smart education with the establishment of 37 smart schools across the country. The government further emphasizes that since ICT has dominated every spectrum of life, Nigeria must make a paradigm shift towards smart learning in a quest to transform basic education in the country. How revolutionary is the Teacher Internship Scheme and how much impact will it have on the Nigerian educational sector? This will form the crux of discussions as guests speak to the introduction of smart education in Nigeria shortly.
Alright, we have our guests already seated here for our conversation. Let me begin the introductions. Dr. Hamid Bobi is the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, and he joins us live here in the studio. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Alright. We also have Professor Josiah Ajiboye, he is a Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TRCN. Thank you very much. It's good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, also in the studio we have Professor Bashir Galadanshi, is the National Coordinator, UBEC Digital Resource Center, Abuja studio. You're welcome, Prof.
Good morning, Nigerians. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, and finally, the last but not the least, we have Dr. Philip John Hayab, an educationist and a teacher. He's here in the studio. You're welcome, Doctor.
Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Claire.
Yes, thank you, Brother Demola. Dr. Bobi, first we'll have to start with you. Yes, just to give us a deeper, insight into this teachers training scheme, and everyone will want to know what's this scheme all about. There's quite a lot of noise about it, and NTA discussing it. So please give us the crux of this scheme.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Well, I think before we even get to the scheme, we need to know the context, the ecosystem that gave rise to the whole scheme. UBEC, for the last 3 years, it has been a struggle trying to see how do we have a paradigm shift from I think it had already been mentioned where you have your chalk and the blackboard and a lot of those activities. How do we prepare the next generation of Nigerian children to compete in the 21st century? You cannot compete.
Which children are we talking about?
The children of Nigeria, the poor, those perhaps who do not have the ability to go to a private school, isn't it, and pay those either the dollars, isn't it, or the millions, isn't it, that those schools charge. So, as a public institution, an institution, isn't it, that is supposed to make sure that each and every child is given that opportunity. We felt that we needed to chart also another course that can expose these kids to those digital resources that are available. We established the Digital Resource Center, which is just being completed, and that's you have already introduced Professor Bashir Galadanshi, who is the coordinator of that particular center. But we have also established in every state
Some of the schools have been completed and have taken up, but some are still struggling, isn't it? The contractors are struggling to get them ready. Every state
has a digital
has not a digital resource center, a smart school.
Okay, smart.
Because the digital resource center is supposed to coordinate the smart schools.
Okay.
And also see how it could incorporate digital learning into our educational system.
Okay.
And I think that's the context that has started. So far, the digital resource center has almost, is almost ready, and that's where we have a training facility to bring teachers from different parts of the country to make sure that, they are inducted into the new digital.
So it's like an internship.
Yeah, now we are coming to the second stage, the teacher internship scheme.
Okay.
Having established the schools, having recruited, having gotten the states to provide, the teachers through an exam, because, it was a very intensive examination where we chose those teachers who could serve in these smart schools. And
I'm actually going to ask the criteria for choosing the teachers that will serve in those schools.
Yeah, because you need teachers with some level of digital literacy.
Okay.
Who understood these things. But the training started much earlier, where we had the Korean International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, as a partner in that regard. They approached us, they said they've seen what we are doing, they could help in developing teachers for this scheme. They took the head teachers, the administrators to Korea, for our training. They took the head teachers, they took the leading teachers, and they have been very active with us, trying to see how do they support this particular program. The internship scheme came again as the how do we make sure that some of these our young graduates can be brought into the scheme and can support the smart schools. And I think that's what led to the launching of that particular program. To make sure.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Damien, let me just cap, for the benefit of our viewers, what you've said, so we have a clearer understanding. So there's a digital resource center, which of course Professor Galidanchi is heading, and then this coordinates the smart schools.
Smart schools, yes.
Then the smart schools, you now have, you train some teachers at the digital resource center.
Yeah.
The second stage will be the internship, where you get all other teachers now.
Exactly.
You impart this knowledge. So these are the various stages.
Exactly.
Okay, I know Demola wants to ask this question. Please go ahead. When we come back, we want to know, because there are 37 states across, and the FCT. So how did you get those? Yes.
I think they're starting from the northern part of the country first, or you're going around the country.
No, at all. Yes. We are starting from everywhere.
So you're going to tell us how.
Yes.
Please go ahead with the question.
Yeah, okay. Let me just go straight to Professor Ajiboye now, because this training is for the teachers. And then how prepared, how ready, how does the teacher internship scheme, how do you think it will benefit the teachers? The world is going digital now, and there is need for all the teachers actually to upscale.
Well, actually, let me appreciate the Universal Basic Education Commission and under its leadership for this initiative, because look, we have been advocating for a paradigm shift at the Teachers Selection Council of Nigeria. We believe that, look, we are talking of 4th industrial age, and we are getting closer to even the 5th industrial age. The rest of the world is not waiting for us, for goodness sake. How can you have teachers, what we call the born before computer teachers? A large percentage of our teachers are what we call digital immigrants. And we are teaching these children that are digital natives. And for us to be able to cope, we need digital education for our teachers. The Teachers Selection Council of Nigeria in 2018 started what we call Digital Literacy Training Program. But what the UBEC is doing now is to take it top notch and to get a crop of teachers, under the teacher internship scheme, to bring them together
within a period of about 2 years, I think, to make sure. Yes, I was at the launch of the program with the Honorable Minister, and I made my comments in support of that particular, because it's a novel thing, and that is the way to go for the country. If we want to revolutionize the education landscape in the country, the rest of the world, like I said, will not wait for us. We have to begin to do this now. They are talking of robotics in education. They are talking of AI, artificial intelligence, and where are we? And where are our teachers? And if we want to develop this in our learners, we need those crop of teachers. Yes, I normally emphasize that technology will not replace teachers. But teachers who know how to use technology will replace those who do not know how to use it. That is the reality. Technology will not replace teachers. No, you will always need the human element. You know, you will always need the teachers. But those who know how to use technology among the teachers will replace those who do not know how to use it. And we would need to develop a new generation of teachers. And this is what this scheme is all about. To develop a new crop, generation of teachers that can advance our education. Look, we appreciate what our teachers are currently doing. They are the ones who brought us up. They have tried their best. But you see, my people will say it is the dog of these days that know how to pursue the rat of these days. You need these young teachers, to be able to train these young ones. Even the children, they are digital, literate.
Yes, they are.
Give a child just a telephone. They can manipulate so many things on that phone. Whereas as adults, maybe we can only use about 10% of the facilities there.
Or less.
Okay? Or less. Also, that is what we are talking about. So if you want to catch these children, if you want to catch them at their level, you need a new crop of teachers who will be able to do this. And this is what this scheme is a wonderful scheme. We have been advocating for this for long, and I think the right time has come for Nigeria to be able to move ahead. If we are able to go ahead with this teacher internship scheme, I believe very strongly, in the very near future, we'll be able to get a new dynamic set of teachers that will be able to handle our classroom. Look at these smart schools being established. Do you establish smart schools and you bring, who do you bring? You need to bring smart teachers as well. And that is why this is necessary. So I believe very strongly in the program. And I think our country is going to benefit maximally from this if we're able to manage it and be able to take it forward.
Professor Ajiboye, thank you. I don't think there's anyone who will not commend, this initiative. Of course, if we consider where the world is going at the moment, in knowledge-driven economy. So this is the right way to go. But my concern is always when we use the word paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is a fundamental departure, from the norm, from the way we think, from the way we do things. And when we are applying from the paradigm shift to education, it means we want to move away totally from, what we used to do, what we are known to do, the chalks and
the chalk and talk
method, to a more scientific approach. And that's why I want to bring in Professor Galadanchi, who is the coordinator of the Digital Resource Center. What is the content of this center? Because sometimes you just say digital. All you see are just computer. You go there, you put computer, and within months or even at most year or so, everything, So what is the content of the Digital Resource Center?
Yes. Maybe the way to put it is to say that what we have in the Digital Resource Center is what will enable us to make this paradigm shift, even though you don't like the terminology. But you see, the reality of the situation is that 21st century education is radically different from the educational needs of the previous century. And it is all the more needed because we're in a much smaller world, the global village phenomenon, where our learners and students and graduates are not competing necessarily with themselves. They're competing with learners and students and graduates from any part of the world. And therefore, we need to prepare our learners and students and graduates for this global village which is very much digital. And so what we have in the digital center is everything that is required to principally train our teachers. Our teachers need training on pedagogy. It's no longer the normal teacher-led face-to-face training. It has to be child-centered. It has to be gamified. It has to use a lot of technology. So we have everything there that will allow this change in even the pedagogy of teaching and learning. And then at the same time, our children need robotics, they need artificial intelligence, they need virtual reality. This is what is being used all over the world. Why can't our children in Nigeria, and for that matter in public schools, enjoy all these facilities to prepare them so that we have all those things? And you know, teaching today is very much assisted by the internet, by technologies in general. So we need to have all those technologies inside the digital center. And then moreover, we need a very serene and conducive environment where this teaching and learning will take place. I didn't see the Digital Resource Center being shown. I want to hope that in a future program, the buildings themselves will be shown, and even you'll have an opportunity of showing our viewers what is actually inside.
If you commission the NTA, the NTA is always available to do that. Yes,
I'm sure the ears will welcome you.
Yes, if you commission, you know. Yes,
but I think we still have some snippets of the pictures which they've been rolling.
They've been rolling. Okay, Dr. Hayab, I consider you as a teacher, even though, of course, you are a teacher in the tertiary institution. Yes, but the participants, you know, are drawn from existing schools, and you know the mentality, you know, of our current teachers. What's your disposition, you know?
The internship program is, first, as everyone has commented, is actually a good step or step in the right direction. Yes, I taught at the secondary school level before I moved to teach at the teacher training institution, and I've had engagements with teachers across Nigeria, teachers at the basic level and even teachers at the higher level. Like Professor Galadeji said, we have issues, particularly with pedagogy of teaching. Even amongst us educationists, there's even no maybe tangible agreement as to what pedagogy is, and I would say that pedagogy is beyond method. Is the method of teaching, is the theory of teaching, and is the practice. And it is practice that we're talking about now, saying that the world has moved from just the teacher talking using the chalkboard, or even if it were to be a marker board. When I attended primary school and secondary school, there were no white marker boards, and we've had them, we still have them, and yet we have the chalkboard, which means that our movement is a bit slower. It's a snail pace, which should not be the case. So yes, there is a problem of understanding, and sometimes our system is such that we are careless. Like you just said here, we use words at times without actually checking what these words mean. We should get beyond just using words, but the practicality. And the practicality is that which happens in the classroom. Learners remember what they do in class much more than what you tell them. So when a child comes back from school and you meet the child by the road, or if you, after school today, just meet 2 or 3 children, you can do that vox pop, that kind of survey by yourself. Ask them, what did you do today in school?
they will tell you almost all the activities that happen in school. But what did you learn? The chances is that their brain has not developed to the point that they will be able to analyze what they've learned. So it is what we do. And teaching is about what the teacher says, the learners do it, and the teacher and the learners do it, which means that we are talking about activity-based teaching approach. So the smart school would give us the opportunity to do this, to actually achieve this, because the learners of nowadays are not even interested in books.
They want to see real life.
They want
real life experience.
they are not interested in books in the library, just books. Digitalize these books and these kids will be interested in reading these books. So that is where the smart school actually intervenes in the situation. Yeah, so in a way, paradigm shift, yes, instead of just using the ancient model of learning where the learner had no say in whatever the teacher said was what it was. Today, learners are active participants. In fact, we advocate that in a teaching scenario, the learner should have 60% while the teacher should have 40%. If possible, even you can reduce it. Because the more activities the learners engage in, the better they become.
So which means that education should be more interactive.
Interactive, because learners don't come to the classroom without any knowledge. And these learners that we're talking about, in this case, public schools, I'm very excited that we have the smart school for public school, because most of the children in smart schools are children of parents who may not even be able to afford a smartphone to begin with. Now, some of us, maybe because of where most people who work and earn good money or little money as it were, they're able to send their children to private schools, which most of these private schools already have this smart schooling for maybe beyond 5 years now, though not all the schools. So the more we get this in the public schools, the kind of schools we attended that will reach where we are, I think the better it becomes, particularly for the child of the less privileged parents. So it is a commendable stride, and I believe that if we pursue it with sincerity of purpose, because what has bothered me as a Nigerian is when we commit to do things, people don't actually come into the project or the vision with the intent of contributing to it. Rather, they often think, maybe not everybody, about what they stand to benefit. I think we should go beyond that. I teach passionately.
Do you think that's a fundamental challenge?
Yes.
In our basic, education system.
Yeah, the fundamental challenge is the attitude of the teacher.
Okay.
As a teacher trainer, everywhere I go, I ask them, why is it that the educational system has not changed? They will start giving you reasons, low wages, these, to give you all sort of excuses. I'll say, teachers, let's be honest. A child trained by a qualified teacher under the tree can compete. Under the tree, it doesn't need a classroom. Yeah. Once you have a qualified teacher training a child, even if it were to be under the tree, that child has the potential of going places. I attended primary school, at least primary one, under the tree.
Did you attend under the tree?
Yes. Because I was trained by qualified teachers, grade 2 teachers at that time. And then these were the kind of teachers, so they gave us the leverage to practice, and it is from practice that we get to where we are. I tell teachers that we are all product of the red biro. Without the red biro in our book, we would not have attained the status that we've reached today. So that is practice. You do work, I mark it, you understand where you fail, tomorrow you build on it. So the smart schools will give us this blended approach of teaching. Yes, we have our books there, we have the technology. Maybe even after school, if you don't send these kids going home, they might remain in the center trying to try something because this is very exciting to them, because they also, at least they hear and they see other privileged children having this opportunity. Now we are taking it to the grassroots. I think that is, for me, one thing that stands out about this project.
Thank you very much, Dr.
We had a very interesting experience in our first smart school in Ilori. When it started, the administrators came complaining to us, and we thought it was something very serious. They said one of their major problems was the fact that at the end of the day, children didn't want to go home And so the teachers had to stay for extra hours because the children were very interested. Every child has a tablet, the computers, the smart boards, something very different from what they're used to. So at the end of the day, which is supposed to be 2 o'clock, they refused to go home until about 5, 6. And meanwhile, the teachers want to go home and prepare for the next day and so on. It was a very interesting experience.
That's quite interesting
Yes.
and quite encouraging. I don't know, are the teachers actually ready for this, Professor Ajibode?
No, let me tell you, yes. Like I said, you know, it's been part of our thinking, actually, to get the teachers of Nigeria to embrace technology. Look, we need to change our orientation.
Yes,
Definitely, we have been speaking to the teachers. You know, they need a lot of motivation. Yes, when Doc was speaking, yes, he was speaking about the reality and what we need to do. Yes, our teachers need a lot of motivation to be able to embrace this. In fact, if a good number of them will think that you people are introducing some of these things to take their jobs, you know, but we have assured them that, look, you don't need to fear technology. Now, the education, we cannot, look, the education system now is technologically driven. And there's no way we can shy away from the use of technology, okay? And that is the right way to go. We have been able to get the teachers prepared. Like I told you, when we started this in 2018, we didn't even know that COVID was coming. We didn't even know. Okay, at the point when COVID came, you know, with the ministry developed the guideline for resumption and things like that, which also included the use of digital modes. You know, we were talking of what you call emergency remote learning techniques. Okay, use of radio, use of television and things like that, which the teachers were not. So, you know, let me say this: teachers are now aware that it is important that they have to embrace technology. You know. And if they don't do that, they will be left behind. Look, just a few number of the teachers in certain schools who were able to embrace technology to a certain level were the ones who saw us out during the COVID period. They were the ones. And that is the reality now. For every teacher, you know, it's good that this is coming up. A good number of them who will be transiting from this place will go to, you know, expand the horizon in their various communities, and everybody will have to come on board. And that is the reality that we are battling with. As teachers, we cannot pretend that this is not happening. Okay, like what Professor Galadanchi said, the children we are preparing, they are global children.
Yeah.
These children are, I normally tell the teachers, you have to see yourself as global teachers as well. And you will agree with me, some Nigerian teachers have been doing well in this regard. Look, a good number of them, about 1,800 were even recruited by Britain just last year alone. And Canada in 2022 recruited over 600 Nigerian teachers. They are doing well. They are already embracing this.
With this exodus of teachers.
Well, you know, we are developing new crops. No, we are developing new crops. Don't worry. We are developing new crops.
And are we developing them for other countries?
No, you know, when the doctors were going, this was the same thing we said. When the nurses were going, it's now maybe the turn of our teachers to also benefit from this. But what we are saying in reality is that actually these teachers now know that if you want to be a global player, definitely you need to, you know, improve yourself. When we started our professional qualifying exam, some people thought I would do a paper and pencil. I started that exam in 2017 under the last administration. When we were about to start, some people thought we would start with paper and pencil exam. And I said, no. If my child going from primary to secondary, we write common entrance using CBT, I do not see any teacher, if you want to practice here, that you will not be able to take the computer-based test as professional qualifying. When we started, they were looking at me. They thought I would fail.
But that same reality still persists. So that's why, Dr. Bubuye, I'm wondering, another reality that we'll have to face is when this crop of smart teachers, you know, get this skill and knowledge, they're expected to go back, you know, to their respective community schools and escalate the knowledge. Now, when they get back, they're still going to mainstream, work within this old breed of people, some of whom might, you know, be averse to change. That's one. And two, are these smart teachers also going to, what would they work with when they get back to their respective schools?
You're absolutely right. It's a bit more structured, actually, where you have the internship scheme designed to take care of, the states did the recruitment in terms of, they sat for the CBT exam, did this, did that, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, they were selected.
Okay.
But they have already been attached to two programs. Yeah. The Smart School program, where, isn't it, they go there after every session that they come for training, they go back to the Smart Schools at the moment, or go back to what we call the e-learning centers. We have them in every state again, isn't it? There are not many. The idea is to keep on expanding these particular facilities so that, isn't it, we could accommodate, isn't it, a lot of them. But as Professor Ajiboye was saying, we have to be practical. Yeah, I mean, I will not mind if perhaps we can train these people, if they can get a job, even with private schools. Or can go to where, isn't it? Can go. It's a global village.
But the essence, the essence is to improve public schools.
Exactly.
Yes. So when you train and then you expect them to
I know what I mean in real life. You can, unless, isn't it, you live in a totalitarian state where you say, no, you cannot go anywhere. Yeah, of course, we have to have mechanisms. Exactly.
Because there is this likelihood that they get trained and they move for better
paid job.
It is, and that's the reason why we need to reform the system.
We're training them for.
But at the moment, there's no fear of that. That's what I'm saying, isn't it? Because they're already employed by those, isn't it? They are attached to those particular institutions and they work there. And the whole idea is to see how do we develop these teachers to support the program.
Okay.
Yeah, but my point,
sir, is there a plan to forestall that from happening? Because
which one?
Yes, they are migrating to other schools because at the moment they are employed here.
There is no plan unless we want to open place until we can open a prison and lock them in. There is no plan.
You can sign agreements.
No. Let me say that. Look, the model adopted by UBEC is working. Look, let the states. We have been working with the states.
Okay.
Let the states be the ones to employ these teachers. You see, and it will also serve as a motivation. There are so many things that we have developed for the teachers. If you get these smart teachers trained and they have passed through this internship program, definitely you want to embellish their pay a bit to make them comfortable,
to retain them,
to be able to. There will be competition. That will bring up. It will shoot up competition, and that is where we want this, because look, they want to stay, but you have to make certain things attractive to them.
Okay.
And I think if they become bigger players, having gone through this, they will be able to excel. And believe you me, you cannot tie rope on, like what he has said, except you want to lock them up in a place and let people flex their, skills.
Okay. Dr. Hayab, yes, Dr. Hayab, I mean, you understand where we're going. I mean, if you train me and I acquire the skill and you not pay me well, and I'm a new, market, I have the market. I'll go for, you understand what I say? So
the good part is that there will always be people who would want to stay within the system.
Okay.
I'm a living example.
Okay.
I was trained by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund for the Masters and PhD. I stayed like 6 years outside of Nigeria, and I came back on my own volition. And the very reason...
How many people are like that?
Yeah, so there are many of us that returned. Many of us. There are few that would not want to return. I came on the account that I was the first beneficiary from my institution. So I looked at the other young people that will come after me. If I were to run away, I would have killed their ambition. And I was not going to do that, and I returned. So many others have returned. What I want to say is that, I want to add is that, like what Professor has talked about, the UBEC would have to work with the state to establish a bond, a sort of a bond, because I signed a bond that I was coming to teach for the period of my study, and I kept to my bond. And so many other Nigerians out there kept to their bond, those of us who benefited from the TED Fund. Those who remained in Europe and other parts of the world, as at now, I know that the House of Reps is trying to bring them back. So once you can add the bond, that when we train you for 2 years, you will work for 2 years, I think that will go a long way in keeping some of these teachers. But then the incentives must be added. If you don't incentivize the teaching, their pay, you also do not give them a good environment. Now, why good environment? I'm experienced in this, that some people talk down on you. And these young people are not like the old teachers, where you are head teachers, you are dishing out orders as if they were in one cell. So I understand the sentiments that all of them have expressed, that we allow them a freedom. Once we allow them some leverage, I think it will add value.
You know, I think we have to live in the real world. There are the measures that are usually taken, where if you train someone, you expect him to serve a particular period, isn't it? You know, isn't it? You know, the number of years that you have. You know, if you train him for, he has been part of that internship for 2 years. Isn't it? Within that 2 years, he's still serving. You know, he has to go back to his school, isn't it? Either the smart school or the, isn't it, or the exactly e-learning centers, isn't it? You know, to be part of that particular process. There are challenges, you know, because the hope is that at the end of that period, we would have enough of these schools, again, at least to absorb, and enough, you know, a system whereby, isn't it, you know, the remuneration, isn't it, you know, that is granted to these teachers. We have states that are not even paying the minimum wage, as far as teachers are concerned in this country.
I'm telling you.
We have challenges where a lot of these teachers, you know, the moment somebody is labeled as a primary school teacher, isn't it, you know, is attack, which is thrown on him, poverty. He cannot afford anything, even if he goes to look for marriage elsewhere, isn't he? You know, the first question is he a teacher? You know, no, we can't give our daughter to actually marry a teacher. So it's a systemic problem that we have to address. And I think part of the reform, and I'm confident the government can do it, is to ensure how do we ennoble the teacher? How do we make sure, because those countries that have developed, in fact, there are those countries that, you know, if you take areas like Finland, Singapore, they are paying teachers much more than medical doctors.
Singapore is paying the highest, as of today.
Exactly.
Globally.
Why? Because you are the one that the nation has assigned the responsibility of safeguarding its future.
Dr. Baboye, is there a plan, you know, to sustain this initiative? You talk about having these, you know, smart schools, you know, replicated in almost every part of the state. And I'm just wondering, what are the plans to achieve this in the long run? Because by the time you serve your term out, somebody comes in and decides that, you know, what continuity of policies are in this country. So is there a sustaining plan and a time frame, you know, within which probably would have, you know, had enough of these schools across the country to be able to achieve? Because if we just say 1 or 2 or 3 or, you know, 10 schools, it won't go anywhere.
No, at the moment we have 37. Every state.
Okay, every state.
Every state has
including Abuja FCT.
Yeah, FCT in Karshi.
Okay.
Isn't it? You know, they have just completed, I think the furnishing is going on. And very soon, isn't it? You know, we want to use it as a gateway where, isn't it, you know, people now could go and see, those visiting the federal capital, the Nigeria's version of the smart school. You know, but it's a real question that I think, you know, as a nation, we also have to take into account. Let's not forget that basic education is not even the responsibility of the federal government. It's the responsibility of the local government and the state government. So the federal government still will need to work with the states to make sure, isn't it, you know, that whatever scheme it brings into place, isn't it, you know, has the buy-in of the state and could be sustained by the state. But in any case, at the moment, I think the effort is to see, okay, how would the federal government still actively participate, and that's the reason why we are bringing the state in, but in measured, isn't it, in a measured manner. Then, come in, we are still with you, and we will guide this particular process until we are satisfied that it's a sustainable process as far as the state government is concerned.
What is the commitment?
Okay. I wanted to ask
yes, sorry, let me yes, I'm asking this question because if you consider the counterpart funding,
yes,
many state governments have yet to match their counterpart funding, despite the
no, it has improved. It has improved. It has improved. Because particularly, the current crop of governance, isn't it? I think in an effort to see that they could achieve some quick successes within the education sector. I think they have done quite a lot, isn't it, to access. Generally, UBEC had this problem. This money is not a block grant. These are monthly releases that only come up as complete, isn't it, amount that would be accessed at the end of December. So by the first quarter, people still ask, you have that much billion unaccessed. Yeah, because that's the time when these amounts are ready to be accessed by the states, and I think they have started.
So for how many states have been able to access their...
it's if you look at, isn't it, initially before the end of the year, isn't it, we have about maybe 17 billion unaccessed out of the total amount, isn't it, that is there, isn't it? Most of the states have accessed their own amounts. But the point I'm raising is that more money has come in.
Okay.
Because I said we should be asked at the end of the year, isn't it? If you don't get that lump sum, isn't it? Because it has been accumulating. They don't access it during the time it is. Because
they are supposed to.
Well, yes and no, because a lot of them don't want it in piecemeal. They want it as a sum that they could use. There are some states, interestingly, that have paid the entire amount from January, and every quarter, when the amount is due, isn't it? They access that particular quarter. Okay. But these are the rich states.
Okay. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Just to be the rich states that will give you the support. Just to be the rich states.
But again, I think let's be very positive. Nigerians, if they see something that works, they embrace it.
I like that. I like that. That's positive. I like that. I ask you for that.
Yes. You are the coordinator of this program, of this scheme. How would you? What's the assessment and evaluation like for the participants?
I'm really very excited about this program, the TIS program. For one, most of the interns are fairly young, and that's an advantage. So very many of them are digital natives. They already know a bit of the digital literacy, and they're really excited about the program. And you can see it even from what you showed earlier on. But the more interesting part is when you think of how they are going to change our entire educational landscape. And in a way, maybe this helps us in addressing this problem of do we think they're going to leave the shores of the country after they've been trained or go to private schools. And I remember we had a lot of this debate while we were trying to package the program. Some people felt that it's not worth it. Why should you train some interns only for them to go and serve elsewhere? But the thing is that the Commission has a plan to work with the state governments so that this issue of smart education will quickly proliferate, if you want. Now we have just one smart school per state, and we have these e-learning centers that are smaller and more cost-effective models of smart education. And there are 3 per state. So we already have, we could say we already have almost 108, almost 150 smart schools.
Okay.
And our goal is to see that...
150 smart schools in the country right now, right?
Yes, in the country, because even the e-learning centers are small smart schools. Okay. And the idea is that maybe in the next few years, we should be having 1 smart school per local government, 774. And then maybe from then onwards, we would be having virtually every public school to be smart.
You'll be giving private schools a run for the money.
Yes.
And then,
but at the same time,
that will bring down,
that will bring down
the cost
of education.
And at the same time, of course, there has to be the necessary reorganization, if you want, of other structures. As the executive secretary of UBEC said, teachers now,
Yes, Demola, I'm also thinking ahead, because these children in public schools would also have to have, something to practice at home. And when you train them, when they get this knowledge, going back home again, the additional cost on the parents, is it a concern?
Yes, it is. It's actually a big concern.
You remember that there was this time that it was the governor Aregbesola that was giving smart
yes,
this Opoifa to Opoimo, yes, to giving like tablets.
You see, in our smart schools now, every pupil, every learner has a tablet, but we've been afraid of even allowing the children to go with these tablets to their homes. It could even be a security risk, and maybe when you go there may not be power and some of these things. So for now, the tablets are largely in schools, but then we're looking at other options. How can we get much cheaper, more affordable, and those that keep battery power for a very long time, and so on.
The issue of electricity, because I was going to ask that question, especially in some states where they don't have constant electricity. How will this program work? Because except we have you considered this issue of
connectivity,
electricity, because it's very important?
Yes, you see, the nice thing about all these things is that technology is really advancing at such a very fast rate, and is able to solve all these problems. So the issue of electricity is easily solved by tablets that use solar and so on. To me, the greatest challenge is for us to be able to uplift our teachers, both in terms of their remuneration and their motivation and so on, and also in terms of their training. The training part is a little bit simpler than the remuneration part and so on, because we're dealing with very large numbers of teachers. And I always remember one time I had the privilege of going to Singapore, and some children came out to welcome us in a school. And then, just by chance, I asked several of the children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Teacher. What do you want to be when you grow up? Teacher. What do you want to be when... All of them said they wanted to be teachers. And I was thinking at home, here in Nigeria. Here I am, a teacher, a university teacher, and nobody.
Let me make it laugh.
But I think with this development now, the reorientation will begin to.
Let me make us laugh. I was asked to give a talk somewhere, and I was like, I went when I got there, and I said, please, I'm already fidgeting. I'm not a teacher, please, because I don't have that quality. So the fright of being a teacher. So it's not easy to be a teacher.
No,
it's truly not easy to be a teacher.
Teaching is a lot of highly demanding job.
Precisely.
He was talking about the teachers staying back till 6 p.m. and they will go and prepare for the following day's work. And if you like I've been telling the government, you see, in 2020. I think before the COVID thereabout, we got the 2021. We got the government, the immediate past government, to actually approve certain things for the Nigerian teachers. And I tell this government, if we are able to implement 50% of what the Buhari government actually approved, the welfare package approved under Malamadamu Adamu, if they can just implement 50% today, what we are talking about. At least we'll be able to uplift some of these teachers, and then they, we'll see a new set of teachers.
I will, when we come back from the break, in a short while, because I saw some of the participants, on the screen, and like you said, they're very young participants, and I'm wondering, are these your members? Because these young teachers cannot be in the public school, They are there. I'm wondering if they are your members. Please, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Before we went on break, I had a question for Professor Josiah Jiboye. I wanted to know what TRCN, how TRCN is involved in all of this. And I said, if you take a look at the participants, I'm sure my director can give us, the clip of those participants. Very young, Nigerians. They were like young teachers in public schools. It's unbelievable that this. If you look at them, very young. I don't want to see this. I just want the participants. Look at them, very young. And I'm wondering if these are members of the TRCN registration.
It's amazing. Like I said, so many young Nigerians actually want to teach. Okay. There's a new drive now, because we have been able to try as much as possible at certain level now to make teaching. Look, they know that if they have TRCN certificate and license, for example, look, the rest of the world is at their beckon. They can get to a job anywhere in the world. And so you see these young people, they are very interested. They are young education graduates. They are young education graduates. They want to practice. But we say, okay, before we unleash you on the classroom, can we do something, intervention in terms of the internship?
Okay, so these are some of the participants.
Yes, they are the participants. And these are guys who actually read education. Okay, and we said those who do not read education among them, they are going to do PGD, postgraduate diploma in education, and also do professional diploma in education. These guys they read education, and they are willing, they are interested. Look, it's amazing. Some guys are now forming what they call Young Teachers Association of Nigeria.
Wow.
I'm telling you. I am telling you. Look, Young Teachers Association of Nigeria. It's getting to that level, because we have been able to take it a little bit higher, to make sure that these people, they see this profession as something they could be. We have met with teachers all over the world. When you see the teachers from very recently I was in South Africa, and I was in some schools to visit them, to see what they do. And when I met the teachers, young, energetic guys, and this is the kind of thing that we are trying to replicate here. And if UBEC is able to push it through and push it through very well, believe you me, like I mentioned at the beginning
what is it that has been done, that is attractive? I mean, Dr. Haya, I don't know. So what are the incentives that
well, I think ES will be able to. Yes. What are the incentives that are making these guys?
Well, I think based on so far, isn't our experiences in this regard, we have been able to get some little funding to at least make sure that the teachers, those that the state sent in, to us, isn't it? And they had to go through an examinations and so on, and CBT and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, the states are paying them, but we said, okay, we needed also to see what augmentation could we get them. So the participants in the internship scheme, also again, isn't it, have their own, isn't it, you are taking someone without, he wasn't employed, because these are not, they are not the ones employed by the state initially. They are the ones that went again, sat for the exam, isn't it, that they wanted to join the scheme. Okay. So they are also, isn't it, they have a stipend, I think, that can keep them, isn't it, working. And the hope is that by the time they finish, isn't it, yeah, exactly. Either if they're not employed by the state, there are a lot of other employers. That's the reason why I'm a bit open, because it's an internship scheme. Okay. It's an internship scheme that, isn't it, we would want to make sure that, isn't it, we get them, isn't it, we get them employed anyway, isn't it, okay. Because they have to be employed. But the hope is that they will stay in the smart school and ensure that, isn't it, they can contribute positively. The problem is real, and I think let's not run away from it. Sustainability is always a challenge. Yeah. It's always a challenge. And that's where we are hoping that we can work particularly with governors at the state level, that who are really interested, isn't it, in pushing this particular project. But it means that they have to up the game. Spend the extra money required, isn't it, to make sure that, isn't it, we can retain
the state government
teachers.
Really showing interest.
There are some state governors who are showing interest, real interest. Okay. Some, but it's not common.
You mentioned Kwara State. So
no. Kwara is very serious. Kwara is very serious about it, isn't it? And
some states.
They want even now.
Our state must be very serious.
Exactly. Instead, which state is it?
Kwara State.
Okay, Kwara. No. They're very serious about it, isn't it? Very serious. And I think they even want to build a boarding facility, because the argument is that the school is too good just for Ilorin, isn't it? They need all the other local governments to come and participate, isn't it? In that. So they are having the body. Kano is also, very, very supportive of the project, isn't it? They are also, isn't it? Making an effort. Ekiti is also struggling.
Kano has always been, tops when it comes to
education. No.
The former governor.
Exactly. So actually, we are confident that at least we will have challenges in some of the schools, because there was one chairman, he has left, who told me that, Doctor, you people are just spending money. If you had given me the money to build my own more classrooms and so on and so forth, then I said,
yes.
But besides besides the issue of sustainability, besides the challenge of sustainability,
yes.
Do you foresee any other challenge again besides that?
As we are looking at the entire picture, isn't it? We have looked at the teacher factor, which I think so far we are fairly confident, isn't it? With the sustainability requires is the key challenge that we have in terms of where do we get the resources to fund this system, because the gadgets that you have maybe after a few years exactly they have to be maintained.
Yes, and upgraded.
Exactly, and upgraded. You need the electricity, you need the data, and that's why we are appealing even to the private sector. Please, can we have people who can adopt some of these smart schools?
Actually, that was what I was going to ask you. Are you in any way collaborating with all these maybe private organizations?
Yeah, we have started. I know that Airtel gave us routers, isn't it? Not for the smart schools, but for the e-learning center.
Yes, we pay for that advert. Yes, I'm sure we're going to give you an invoice. Yes, for
that. But it's an important activity.
It is.
We need to tell all our key stakeholders that we need to keep. We need all to be on the same page to make sure that we move education in Nigeria.
We just have few minutes, and I hope I can be able to put my question together. One, you talked about the teaching of artificial intelligence, and we know all over the world now, of course, artificial intelligence is the
in thing now.
It's a discussion, but there's also discussion about its uses, you know, and abuse. Yes, I hope we're also taking that into consideration, because children have the tendency, you understand, once they acquire that knowledge, to misuse it. That's one. And then two, again, Dr. Hype can also come in here. You leave the selection to the state governments. How transparent do you think that will be? Because usually when these things are done, we get the same consent from even the social investment program when you ask state governments to to nominate or to take the decisions. So how transparent has the selection been?
I don't know. I think so far, in terms of, as we discuss about the teacher recruitment issue, isn't it? It's a transparent process. People sit for exams. Isn't it, and we go through. For
artificial intelligence,
for artificial intelligence, I would want, isn't it, the coordinator, because they are the ones who are running the program, isn't it? But I remember I was in UNESCO. It was a concern about, isn't artificial intelligence in terms of the abuse, isn't it? Yes. That actually could come into it. And a lot of the educational institutions, like Han Foundation, isn't it, has started seeing how it could, isn't it, moderate or at least make sure that, isn't it, it could prevent these abuses by children can just get answers very easily, isn't it, yes. without having to do anything. But I think there has to be that ethical component that has to come along with the, those particular. I think Bashir can address it because that's his area.
Okay, before that, maybe Dr. Philip can tell us how did you think this abuse can be prevented?
Yes, so the concept digital literacy does not mean learning how to use the digital learning or learning to use technology. Digital literacy in education actually talks about how to use technology and how not to use it. That's the focus.
Okay.
Yeah, so now AI, once we don't ask open-ended questions or close-ended questions, like close-ended, yes or no, AI is AI. If you try AI, you ask AI 3 different questions related, the AI is bringing the same results.
Yes.
Which means that we now shift our kind of questioning as teachers in terms of test. So many programs in Nigeria, education programs in Nigeria, actually have a component of test assessment now, that is learners assessment. And there are people who are professionals in this area. Most of them studied measurement and evaluation. So we are now asking questions that will bring about the reflection in the mind of the learner, the thinking, instead of just reproducing. This rote learning is one of the paradigm shift that this technology of smart school can. We don't ask questions that you ask a question this year, next year is the same question. No, we ask question, what do you think? Now, if it is what do you think, AI cannot think for everybody. So there is a way to curb this, and one of the ways would be that we continue teacher capacity development for teachers to be skilled in the best educational way to ask questions. And one of the programs that UBEC just sponsored across 36 states of the Federation plus Abuja called STEP. Yes, one of the units of STEP is asking questions and how to help learners to understand.
Okay, let's bring Professor Galalenchi.
Yes, I'm happy you just mentioned the fact that assessments themselves, the way that learners should be assessed, is radically changing. And every time when we think of AI has come and it may be able to answer our questions, we're assuming that we're going to continue with the same type of assessment, which is completely wrong. Assessments are completely different now, and they'll keep on changing, such that even if you can go into chat GPT, you'll probably not get those answers. Okay. But I think the more fundamental issue is the fact that technology always comes with problems and challenges, and then it is able to rearrange itself a little bit so as to address those problems. And what is happening with AI now is that this issue of the abuse and possibly the fact that it's not very regulated, or the fact that some of the things have not been thought through, these are now challenges that are center stage in the discussions about how do we get AI to be useful or more useful than problematic. And everyone is talking about it. And even though it's a global discussion, we too are beginning to discuss these issues in Nigeria. So I think in the final analysis, the benefits of AI will by far outweigh the disadvantages and the problems, and they're going to be properly addressed because already there's so much discussion on that.
Okay, Prof, I want to follow
summarize. Sorry, just to summarize the assessment thing.
Okay.
You know, there's a change in focus. You know, instead of assessment of learning that we have been doing over the years, what we are now trying to focus is what we call assessment for learning.
Okay.
That is the new
for
the
learning,
focus. Yes. Instead of assessment of learning. Okay. Our focus is now assessment for learning. Yes, developmental assessment. Okay. You know, that's what we are trying to do now as teachers.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me just ask one more question there, Professor Galadima. You are the coordinator of this scheme. So what are the factors that determine the placement of the teachers in schools?
The placement of the teachers or the placement of the interns?
Interns, yes, the interns. Right.
Let me try to answer both very quickly. As far as the interns are concerned,
yes.
A platform was opened online, and those interested were asked to apply, and then an examination was administered on those interested, and the best 20 were selected from each state. So everything was done in a very organized way in order to make the best selections. Now, go back to teachers in our smart schools. And the way it was done was that the states were asked to provide teachers, to suggest teachers. Some states offered to bring teachers from within the system. Other states decided to employ other teachers.
Yeah.
But then all those teachers were brought to us, and we examined them, we interviewed them, and we selected the best. Because we said give 3 or 4 times the number of teachers we need, and then we selected the best. And then the moment we selected them, we started training them. And since then, we've been training and training and training them. And we're seeing the benefits of this training on both the teachers that are already deployed in the smart schools and to a certain extent the e-learning centers. And we're also seeing the impact of the training on the interns themselves, because we've already run an orientation program, and now we've just started doing the training. And throughout the 2-year period, there's going to be a substantial training. And this training...
I get confused when you say interns and, smart. Yes. I mean, the smart teachers could also be going for internship. I don't know.
Not really.
Yes.
You see, the way it is now is that we have teachers that have been already employed in the smart schools. Most of them are from within the system. Some states have offered to employ new teachers. And they are full-fledged teachers in the smart schools. But when it comes to the interns, to start with, we said that these interns are not teachers yet. They're interns. We want to mentor them. We want to mentor them. We want to give them a lot of training on digital skills, on pedagogical skills. We want them to be conversant with all the new tools and technologies and so on. And we said they can be assisting the real teachers during their 2-year period, by which time then they become...
Just the last question, please. Just the last question. Where is the National Teachers Training Institute in all of this?
National
Teachers
Institute.
Yes.
NTA.
Yes.
You know, this program is based in UBEC, actually. It's not based in NTI. And so that's why you have a national coordinator for this particular project. Okay, because it's a unique one, it's an intervention project for the country. And that's why it's been, you know, managed and funded through UBEC. So I think it's not...
but we have been working with National Teachers Institute. They are part of the committee, isn't it, you know, that has been established, isn't it, you know, of the various agencies, just like, isn't it, the Teacher Registration Council and the other agencies, isn't it, you know, the NERDC, isn't it, for curriculum development and this kind of. So I think all the stakeholders, isn't it?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Moboy, for giving us a clarification there. That's all we can take for this conversation because of time. Dr. Hamid Boboye is the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. Thank you so much for coming. And also, I want to thank Professor Josiah Ajiboye, Registrar Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria.
It's my pleasure to be here always.
Thank you. Professor Bashir Galadanshi, thank you so much for coming. National Coordinator, UBEC, thank you. Digital Resource Center. And finally, Dr. Philip John Haber, an educationist and a teacher. Thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you.